Welcome to the Panic Podcast. We panic because we have no fucking idea what we are doing.
Hello, and welcome to the second episode of the Panic Podcast. I'm your host, Yaar's Revenge, and joining me today, we have an assortment of fun guests. Why don't we go around, everyone introduce yourselves.
I'm Slave. I am a director of Panic Stations, lead trainer, and senior FC.
I'm Zev. I'm a grunt. I like my Stratios and wormholes.
Hey guys, I'm Stu. I'm a director in Hotline K162. We like to kill null bears, I guess.
It's Mana Smoker, so Mana. I've been in the Alliance for like 2 years, or a part of the Corp. One of the old school. I'm a vet. Maybe I'm a vet.
So, firstly, I'm going to do a little bit of a plug, so I'm being a bit of a sellout for a second. We want to give a bit of a shout out to EveNews24, who are being absolutely fantastic and promoting and publicising this podcast. So, for all your Eve News needs, go check out EveNews24. Link will be in the description, but they're an absolutely fantastic group of guys. Right, I've done my sellout stuff, I can now get back to the real world. First thing on the agenda, we've got the update hitting us January the 9th, which is drone sites are disappearing. There's a few changes to the agency, they're updating it with some more things, and there's some visual renovations, and reloading is getting changed. How have we felt about the drone content and what they've brought to the game so far?
Is that like the drone sites we have now, part of UA Festival?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, they're good enough, accessible, and, you know, they're actually worth doing as you get the boosters, which is quite nice, than having to come out of my wormhole, which is quite nice.
Because at the moment it seems they've given us a lot of ISK earning primarily, but also they've actually been quite a good source of content for PvP.
Yeah, I mean, it's mostly the idiots that you catch in them, to be honest, but as far as earning goes, I can't really compare it, because, you know, earning for me is catching raw calls or catching carriers, but yeah, I guess they could be okay.
Because I know, Sliv, you've been getting a shitload of skins from that.
I have been farming the absolute shit out of these sites. I've got 150 boosters, just nothing but farming.
Do we like CCP adding in stuff like this for
Of
potential
course.
content?
Stuff to do. We've had, I don't know how many sites in the past that we've had shitloads of content on.
Anything that
Like anything with a beacon.
gets people to undock and actually leave the safety of a station is brilliant to me, and I love it, and I want more of it.
Yeah, I think more content's always just a great thing.
The thing which I am most excited about, though, for the change is the reloading improvements, which I've been going on about for a long time because I absolutely love them, and people who don't like them, I don't understand. For those who don't know, the reloading change is basically now, if you start a reload cycle and say you cloak up, normally your reload cycle is paused, your ammunition is returned to your cargo hold, and you don't reload. Now it will finish even if you've cloaked as soon as you've started reloading, which for me is fantastic.
It's a huge buff to like ancillary fits, and especially sabers, which can just, wash a gate continuously now.
Yeah. It's things like Ancil boosted Falcons, which have to warp off and warp back on, so, sort of when they get aggressed and stuff like that. They're going to be really quite strong now, I think. But yeah, Ancil boosted ships, they're the ones that are going to benefit from this the most with the long reload time. But also in general, just, U-boats and sort of stealth bombers and stuff, they'll also be pretty nice, because it's just a quality of life change if you can just reload while cloaking.
Yeah, it's going to be a pretty big sort of intel gathering buff as well, because, it used to be you had to sit there waiting 10 seconds for your probes to reload.
Yeah.
And, someone might see you on descan in that time, but now, you're decloaked for literally like a second.
Yeah, the time it takes you to decloak, reload, and recloak is potentially enough time for someone's descan to be pulsing.
Yeah, it's going to make hunting in wormholes a bit more enjoyable.
My only real concern is the whole issue with interdictors just being able to continuously wash a gate with bubbles. That's going to be pretty difficult to avoid.
Yeah, that's going to be one downside of it, but at the same time, it's only an issue in nullsec. But again, I know nullsec is sort of quite a big part of Eve, but luckily for us low-seckers, that's not a huge issue. But we do still have other things to contend with, which I think it may have an impact on. So those are the updates coming in the January update, which as yet hasn't been given a name. So I think everyone's just referring to it as the January update, which is quite nice.
When using a command destroyer, remember to scram your target before MJing it away. It will stop him from running away more effectively.
So, moving on to the next topic, botting and bots. What are people's experience with bots?
I don't know anything about it, so I'm curious to hear y'all's perspective.
There are far, far, far too many of them, and they're not getting banned. There are just way too many of them in nullsec. Like, so freaking many. If you go to any of the, well, let's just call it drone space, there's going to be like at least 4 Gilas per system. All of them are bots. And like last night, especially, I was in a nice little pocket, and there was about 6 Nixes, all bots.
What?
Yeah.
6.
Yeah, like 6 Nixes, one or 2 per system, and they're complete bots, but they don't get banned.
So is botting legal? I don't know much about it.
No, it's not. It's completely illegal. There's even a mechanic in game where you can like right click on someone and report bot. They've got that in an attempt for people to report bots as they see them. Obviously, it's working because bots are getting banned because you see all the stats at sort of FanFest and all that stuff. But there's still so many of them around.
I just want to say, if they are getting banned, I haven't noticed it. In fact, I would say there's more bots than ever at the moment.
Well, that's interesting. I never even knew that was a dynamic of the game. Are bots typically for mining and like income rather than PvP?
Oh yeah, you always have bots for mining and PvE activities. There's also, you get bots for intel gathering. So one actually, which is obviously I'm not going to mention the name, but there's a bot nearby us who sits on a gate 10 kilometers all the time pretty much when activated, and it's just there to basically give eyes on D-scan. So you get bots to do different things.
I've heard about certain tools that also watch local, watch D-scan, and will report it to intel channels in-game, and they definitely exist.
There's those famous stories of nullsec where you have like rattlesnake pilots who, as soon as a neutral comes into system, they warp to a pass, they sit there, they wait 10 minutes, check local, and then they resume the site again. And like I remember growing up playing Eve on those stories of, if you see someone who you think does that, leave system, wait a few minutes, come back in, and basically just note their behavior and sort of work through that.
So I've got a question about these bots, because now it sounds like we have juicy targets potentially. Are they really good at warping themselves to safety when you enter system?
As soon as you enter system and you are in local, if that's the particular type of bot, it will have initiated warp back to either a safe spot, pause, or Citadel.
I figured, because if it's a bot, it would have a great AI. Okay, wow, man.
Bots are only as good as their programming is. It's the exact same as any kind of program you write. And it's a case of a lot of people have to work out basically how the bot reacts and how the bot will behave. And if you know how the bot's going to behave, you can counter it. So like, say you find a rattlesnake pilot doing a site and you know he has got a micro jump drive. As soon as you point him, he will activate the micro jump drive and warp to the sun. If you know he's going to do that, you can have someone waiting for him at the sun. You can plan ahead basically. So as soon as you know how they're going to behave, you can counter it. But obviously you need to know how he behaves in the first place and whether he's a bot. So that's sort of
correct.
That's not something you can rely on.
Can we cover a topic again? So it is legal or illegal to run a bot? Okay, illegal.
The one thing I've heard is that they have bots where they set up an Insta bookmark in the center of the sun. When the bot lands, the ship lands rather, it will bounce in a random direction from the center of the sun because it gets kicked out. Therefore, it's really hard to catch them.
Oh, that's brilliant.
It's
like
that
infinity warp thing.
Say again?
It's like that infinity warp when you hit the center of the moon and you go bouncing way off and everything.
Yeah, more or less.
It's one of those things of I hate the idea of botting because it's particularly for mining and stuff like that. Actually, mining being really profitable is one of the things we'll be talking about later on. And it's sort of if you have an automated system to do it, then you're denying people doing that themselves, and you're devaluing it.
Realistically, there's bots in every game. They don't ban them all, and they don't tell us about when they ban them and how many they ban. So they could be a lot better than we think, but they might just be making new accounts, plexing them, throwing ISK at them. Brand new ship comes out, brand new bot.
Because that's something else as well. The identifying sign of a good bot is that you can't tell it's a bot. And then where do you draw the line of, say you have a person who He plays Eve for 4 hours a day because that's between his 2 work shifts, just as hypothetical. And he comes home and he goes, I'm going to do some relaxing mining while I watch something on YouTube. And he does that and he goes to the same bot every single time because he's in the same routine. How do you tell the difference between that and a bot? And that's where I think it gets quite confusing because legitimately you have no easy way of determining whether it is a bot or someone who's just very repetitive. Another point which actually has just been raised as well is what do you guys say the benefits of bots are? Like, what is the actual end goal of why would you use a bot?
I would be making wild accusations here, but some
RMT?
people do sell the ISK.
Like for money outside the game?
Yeah.
Any
like,
game
like
that
so
has
it's like
an-
Chinese farmers basically then.
Yeah, any game that has
Chinese,
a decent
Like-
kind of market where you can, whether it's WoW, farm gold, or whatever the fuck it is,
That's
you
what I was
can
talking
RMT
about.
it.
Yeah, okay. See, that's what I was thinking. I was like, man, there's got to be some kind of real money tie-in for people to dedicate 10 nixes on a fucking AI script. I mean,
Yeah. Also, the dudes selling the bots, they get money for that.
oh, they sell the character account that's got all the skill injected points or whatever.
No. As in the software itself, the guys sell the software to people.
Oh, I see. Yes.
Yeah.
So what do you guys do when you see a bot then? What's your first instinct or reaction?
Try to catch it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't nullsec as much anymore. A lot of it has to do with Citadel changes and POS changes and shit. Intel bots are more of the reason why I don't go to nullsec than the warp off bots, because you can't catch them most of the time anyway, unless you know how long it takes them to get safe, wait out local, and then get back on grid. Then you can catch them with a log off trap if you know the bot's timer. But outside of that, it's really, you can't really beat Intel bots. Like if they're awake and at their keyboard, it's really fucking difficult to nullsec catch anymore.
Do people run bots and they watch bots, or does this bot you like go and drink coffee and like go have dinner with your girlfriend?
It depends, but yeah, the majority that you see that make money, like you just set it running on, you know, a server or something and just ignore it. Does it all itself.
Which is kind of in my opinion of it devalues things like mining, because again, mining is
Right.
I find quite a boring activity, but I can see the appeal for it because I did it for a good few years when I first started, as much as I'm ashamed to admit. But it does earn a lot of good money, and actually, if you're with a fun group of people and you're having a laugh on TeamSpeak or watching videos and stuff, it's actually not that bad. But it does fill a very important role in the EVE universe of providing minerals, which are then used to make ships, which you can then blow up and stuff. So it's.
I mean, it affects the economics of everything. It inflates the ISK.
Yeah, it means
So and
it's
it also
less
so then
valuable.
exactly. So then it changes. Like if you were an ISK pilot that had $1 billion 10 years ago, and I don't know what a 10 years ago. I don't know what a Plex cost 10 years ago. But if I did, I could tell you how much it's been deflated. We could figure out how, and you know what I mean. You could get some tying to economics to it. This is why I was asking the question.
mean,
what's the true
roughly
benefit of the
200 mil.
bot?
I was going to say I was thinking about 350 mil.
So it used to be 200 mil, and now it's a bill, or what is it? What's the conversion now?
Well, now you get, because obviously they've now broken it down to the individual plaques, but I remember it's a case of it reached about 1.2 bill at its peak.
Okay, so I work as like a financial analyst, right? So I'm like, I've got a heavy finance degree, and I have an econ degree, so I know a lot about this kind of stuff. So you could work out what was the EVE population back then? What was the mining efficiency back then? How many inputs of mining materials did it used to take? And then you could look at what the population size is now, and then you could guesstimate the economic impact of bots, and then you could guesstimate the economic benefit that people are generating from bots. You could do it. I could work it out probably if I really put my mind to it.
I think that is definitely worth looking into at some
Isn't
point.
that interesting?
No, it definitely is. Like, I'd actually be really interested to see the numbers on that because
They caused a 7 times fold of inflation.
Because I was going to say, I remember back in the old days where a carrier used to cost about 700 mil, and you would, if you had a bill, you'd be able to get a carrier, fit it up reasonably competently, and be like, yep, that's a bill for a carrier, fantastic. And now it's like you pay that for just the hull, and then the fittings alone are much more than that. But again, it's I think I'm not sure if that happens over time with any system, or if bossing has affected it, or something else has affected it.
Well, it's pretty simple. How's the population size? How many people used to play back then at 200? How many people used to play now?
Well, they've also had manufacturing changes. Like I know they've changed how certain things are built, so it's not just been.
It's just been modifications.
It's sort of. I definitely think you're right, and I definitely think there has been a change because of it. But it's not the only reason for the change, because there have been, recently, for example, with the change to moon mining, that's been affecting Tech 2 production. You can almost see it in real time. Actually, it's really quite astonishing to see it.
Right. So I didn't say that that it's solely attributable to bots. I said you could create enough reasonable inputs and figure it out especially if you knew how the game mechanics changed. And that's why I said mining efficiencies, like how anyways.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean.
Don't bother checking jump distances with capitals. Simply use the force and channel your inner pigeon and you will make it to your destination every time.
Looking at moon mining with obviously the Athanors and the Tataras, how do we think that's changed the nature of mining, isk-earning, and other things that are related to it? How do we think that's improved or ruined the game?
I mean, if you're the guy mining it, it's definitely improved your game, because any old chump can go and mine R64 now and be happy chappy. But personally, my opinion, I hate these Athanors and I hate the Tataras or whatever they are, because you can just mine on a vulnerable, well, it's basically a Citadel with a 250k scram, an incredible newt web, missiles, and people who are just like, oh, well, it's only one thing, and, what do you expect? But yeah, it just means that anything you catch, you cannot hold for longer than 40 seconds. So they're terrible.
Okay, yeah, I gotta be curious about that whole 40-second thing. Is something I'm unaware of, a game mechanic I don't know about.
So if you're on grid, let's say you send a scepter to catch, I don't know, a procurer that's mining R64, yeah? So you tackle him up nice, and your guys are on the way to come kill this thing.
Yeah.
While you're sitting there, some dude who's manning that Citadel starts locking your scepter. I don't know the exact time it takes, but it's less than a minute.
About 30 seconds.
Yeah, probably about 30 seconds. It'll lock you up. It's got a 15-second heavy neutralizer that does 600 gigajoules. So that's your cap gone, and gone, and gone. And then it'll web you, and if it's vulnerable, it'll scram you.
But how far out does this do? I mean, you're way off grid, though.
250k.
All of that from 250, nuding from 250, webbing from 250. Holy shit!
That sounds
and a scram.
Stupid.
How do we start investing in moon mining and botting? I'm joking.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It means whatever you're in, you're just gonna get ruined. You just can't stay on grid. And people who, I know CCP introduced the whole mechanic where you're not meant to be able to warp to the Athanor because the site's 100k away. Hi CCP, have you noticed that bookmarks exist? And you see how bad it gets when you go to anywhere, with a large population like Delve or wherever you want to say. And they literally have 20 raw cores sitting on vulnerable moon mining complexes, and as soon as that one's not vulnerable anymore, they'll move to the next one.
Because I think we've engaged a few mining fleets in orbit around Athanors, and I think we've only ever been able to snag a couple of them with HKs before the rest of them get away, and it's just I don't think we've been shot at by Athanors when we've attacked on them, have we?
You're awfully lucky then.
Yeah, I think we have genuinely been lucky, because any time we've engaged an Athanor with a Black Ops drop or something, we've never been pointed or been attacked by the Athanor, and I again didn't even realize how far the Athanors could reach. I always just assumed it was just a station. It just sat there and looked pretty.
Nope. If they are mining the moon stuff, then they are well within the defense range.
That is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. You've got to imagine the mooning stuff. The mining stuff's usually 100k off the station. If that's got 250k range, you can't even snipe at them.
Yeah.
And what's more, probably one of my biggest gripes as a mainline scepter pilot and try and create content. you can't warp directly to the moon mining stuff. You have to warp to the station, make a bookmark where they're mining, bookmark an asteroid or whatever, warp off and back, and by the time you've done that, they're gone. Whereas, the traditional, if they're in a belt or a ore anomaly, you just point your D-scan and bam, you're in warp. Usually takes us, 2-3 seconds to find you, but now it's impossible.
Because I like the idea of the Athenors because I'm a massive Dead Space fan, so the idea of planet cracking and stuff like that is really appealing. And the principle of shifting moon mining so that it's not just alliances getting a big... Actually, I remember, I can't remember who it was, one of the CCP devs said they didn't want moon mining to be an ATM for alliances. They wanted individual guys to be able to get the money by mining as a group, and then alliances would also be able to benefit from it, but they didn't want it to be just an ATM for guys like Pandemic Legion and Goon Swarm. They wanted it to be beneficial for the pilots. And I like the idea of that, but it kind of feels that they've... I don't want to say they've missed the mark, but it feels like they've misstepped ever so slightly with it, but I can't put my finger on what they've misstepped with.
I honestly think it's the defenses on the moon mining complexes. Like, they're aimed at attacking a mining fleet with a small, gang with Logi, because, that's the only way you can really stand up against those newts and the webs. But that just doesn't really work for, catching single dudes.
So what changes would you guys do if CCP messaged you tomorrow and said, right, we realise that moon mining is balked and we want to change it? What would you suggest? How would you guys change it, and why would you make those changes then?
Fuck your timers. Fuck everything about your timers. Let them be vulnerable any day of the week, like pauses, so we don't have to time zone tank and enemies don't have to time zone tank.
And then you've got a 24-hour scrambler online.
Yeah.
Which is like my nightmare.
I mean, on grid wise, I understand the 200-300k range to grab caps and hold them down with newts and webs and shit, but most people don't show up with the first 2 timers and capitals. They're going to drop on 3 just to make sure they get the kill. And a lot of times, if they have enough firepower, they just drop at 0. You don't need to point out the 300k. So, it's a little... I don't know. I don't really like the whole system, but I don't think there's anything better. Because what we had before...
Something that really kind of irks me, and again, I'm not sure if this is me looking into sort of Eve a bit too pedantically, but I like the idea of small ships being able to get under the guns of like stations and battleships, being able to like sort of fly really close to them and avoid the high caliber fire. But at the moment it feels like Citadels can hit anything no matter what size it is, which kind of makes the small frigates and the interceptors almost pointless, which again, if they were the same as they were, but they couldn't hit frigates, that would make frigate gangs quite useful for going to Athenors and hitting mining fleets. But the issue is it feels like frigates are as vulnerable as battleships, which kind of feels like that shouldn't be the case. It should be frigates are so small that they can get under their defences, but they don't have the damage to do anything meaningful to like actual big targets and stuff like orcas and rorquals.
We were talking about this the other night, a very similar idea. You know how on capital energy neutralizers you've got a signature radius, I'm not sure what it is, probably a penalty, but if you're in something small it's not going to nuke you as hard. And I would honestly, if there's any change, I would really like to see them introduce that to Citadel defenses. So say the web would only be, I don't know, 5-10% effective against frigates, and the nuke the same,
So
and also get rid of the scram. Like, the scram is just outrageous. Make it a long point if you have to.
So what? Almost have it so that the damage and effects applied to your ship scale with the size of your ship.
Yeah.
That definitely sounds like a good fix. But yeah, getting rid of the scram is like, I didn't realize it was a scram. I thought it was just a point. So that's
it's
dumb.
a scram.
That is dumb.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
a warp disruptor would be fine, but a scram? Are you kidding me?
50 scram is a little much. I think if they do a scram, it should be under 100k scram and the point out to 200 or 300. I think that would be fine.
Because then if you're in something like a Gamma, you can still get away from that dead easy, because you just go fast. But it means if you're engaging quite close to it, you've got to run the gauntlet of the, I'm not going to be going as fast, but hopefully.
But
I mean,
it goes along with the whole web and newt thing. Like, a 70% web and 600 gigajoules every 15 seconds.
That's horrible.
You can be long pointed and you're just dead anyway. It doesn't
Like-
matter.
currently I'm sitting in the Azabel. Web 250 at 70%. Scram 250 at 10 strength, which is ridiculous too. The XL Energy Newt has a signature resolution of 15K.
Yeah, so that's an
So I like
anti-cap
that
weapon.
part. The ECM is 100K, so they did well with the ECM. It's only 100K. I can't jam out to the belt, but I can web and scram out to the belt. So if the belt is bait, I'm dead. If I'm a scepter pilot and I'm trying to tackle something and hold it while my gang jumps 2 jumps over, that's a big problem. If I don't immediately go in for the tackle, I'm probably losing it because he's going to bounce and dock. I mean, gun-wise, if I have subcap guns and bombs and shit, they do really well unless there's 6 guardians on field, and at that point, you can't kill anything. So some things are slightly unbalanced, some things are perfectly fine. It just, it's a system they have to perfect. I mean, my biggest part with these fucking things is the timers. Passes were invulnerable anytime you wanted to drop on it. Now you have to wait until downtime for most of them, or you have to in their prime time.
Although I don't have much experience with it, I agree with you. They should be vulnerable all the time. But going back to the old scram thing, if that was, a 50, 100k scram, I would be fine with that being vulnerable 24/7 and online.
And the one thing I noticed with defense is if I have enough drones or enough tie-dye, you can't stop me from killing it. Like some of the keep stars in nullsec I've seen with 2000 in local and all that. Enough drones on field, enough tie-dye, there's no way to defend it. It's eventually going to die. As long as my fleet stays on grid and my drones are still active, it's eventually going to die. I don't really like the 5,000 DPS cap, because passes you could dread bomb and they're gone. Citadels, I kind of get it for nullsec systems with no stations. I get it more so for wormholers, where they don't have... they had passes, but I think they're a little too strong in regions and where bubbles are involved. You don't have stations naturally in your systems. Like low sec, I think they're overpowered as shit. And we have stations in low sec too, so it's like, even if I didn't have citadels, I can still dock up.
I seem to remember back when they were being introduced, they said, they would introduce the entosis mechanics to increase the damage caps, and we haven't heard anything about that.
See, that would be really cool, because then that sort of it bridges the gap between Citadel management and ownership and sovereignty. And I hate to use the term fuzzy sov, but it sort of starts trying to link everything together.
There would have to be a cap on it though. Like, you can't bring all of the entosises and you can't catch them because they're oversized AB something and they just orbit and you can't kill them all.
I was going to say the way they could do it is have something like a maximum of 10 entosis modules can have a multiplier. Each one is 1%, and anything above that is just lost. So almost have an entosis cap, and then that all adds up to give you an extra 10% or something. So it will help, and having lots of entosis ships will help because obviously you've got redundancies, but it doesn't mean if you bring 100 of the bastards, you've got, you're doubling the amount of damage you can do.
Yeah, it makes sense.
If you leave the game for good, remember to give all of your stuff to Panic. They will look after it for you.
Welcome back. We've just been joined by 3 lovely people. So, do you guys want to introduce yourselves?
Well, I enjoy shooting pixel spaceships with everyone here. That's about it, really.
Fucking pew, baby.
Some
Hold up.
people call me Dewboy, and I love to fly the Coercer.
Yep, I'm Jones, and I love the fly Garmar. Kinda all the time.
Now we have the big topic of this episode, and that is Citadels. Do they offer too much protection, and how is it affecting small gang content and PvP in general?
I'm going to say yes and no. Nullsec wormhole space, yeah, they offer protection they shouldn't have. I think if a nullsec system had no station to begin with, it should remain that way, and you should eat a dick and rat in a better place. 500 Citadels bubble camp to hell is ridiculous. Low sec, we had stations anyway, so I don't think they offer any kind of protection because I can just dock in a station regardless.
What about low sec systems where you don't have stations?
I don't know of any. Are there?
There's
There are a
lots.
few. There are a few, yeah. They're not
Eat a
very
dick.
common.
Rat somewhere better. Same thing. Because, like, nullsec and wormholes, you've always had the option of putting up passes, and you were stuck to how many planets and moons you can do it on, which I think was a fair kind of breakdown to the system. And now it's you can put up thousands, and you can't evict anybody. Can't do anything because you have to hit 3 timers, and then on the third one you got to come back in a fucking week. I just think it's a bunch of ridiculous shit. Like Citadels, in order to clear Citadels off grid, I think it should be the same way POS mechanics are. Shield, you better be back tomorrow or you're losing it because I'm going through your armor and your structure. So I think that would be a better way to do it. I think that system's worked well for a long ass time. I don't think there's any need to change that and make it worse, which they have.
So, unsurprisingly, I also have quite a few problems with Citadels. They offer way too much protection, to be honest. Like, with the tether mechanic itself, when you're sitting on a Citadel, you know, you're pretty much invulnerable to everything. Yeah, you can be bumped, but hey, you can dock 5k off the edge of it anyway, so why bother? You can't be jumped by MJD decies, you can't be touched. Like, I don't really understand why they've given so much protection. And you can't even fight on them, because, you know, web scrams, newts, haha.
Because if they behave just like normal stations, you'd have the benefits of them in wormhole space of the, you know, being able to dock up, not having to deal with posses and all that horrible stuff. But I don't get why they have tethering, because you're still at 0 on a Citadel. You can still just dock up if things look scary. Which, I mean, again, I hate station games full stop, but station games plus a tether, that's an entirely new level of ridiculousness.
I like the free rep part, but I don't think it should come with invulnerability. I
That
think if
part is
you
good.
land, you get repped, and then if you're aggressed while being repped, the rep gets cancelled, just like if you're being pointed or something. Or maybe
Yeah.
even scrammed.
Well, because that would be really good then, because you could land at Citadels between engagements to wrap up and sort of repair modules and stuff, but it wouldn't be like having a Super Aneros sat next to you, repping you in the middle of a fight, because that would be ridiculous.
The other thing that we actually found out on a defense timer is if you're tethered to the Citadel and activated an MJD on a command SC, you don't get untethered. So there's no way they can lock you in time. And they get blinked off for free, and you're tethered the entire time. You don't get an aggression timer, no nothing.
That is
So
crazy.
it's worked out really well for as long as I've used it, but I'm hoping that they fix that now that I said it, because I think it's a bad mechanic. That I can press an MJD and blink off an enemy fleet, and I'm invulnerable the entire time, so you can't avoid that unless you scram chain each other.
Can we edit that out? I don't want CCP changing that.
No, it's
joking.
something that I've used mechanics like that in the past, and then just went, I think this is a little too strong. I'm just not going to do this anymore. I don't like it. I think it's a bad mechanic, so I just don't do it.
I wish I could go in my Garment, go blast everything, get back on the Citadel, rep up 100%, and then go, you know? So I go into the station and just pay for it sometimes.
Well, you can just dock, click repair all, undock.
It is free?
Yeah.
Oh, thanks for saving me money, Stu.
That's the thing, like, I don't mind if they get rid of the whole repairing outside the Citadel thing, because you can do the exact same thing in about 3 seconds.
Okay, I wasn't aware.
If you have docking and tether rights, and they have a repair bay, I think, or if it's just docking, you get to be able to rep. I'm not quite sure.
I think it's just docking rights. So if you're on the access list to dock in a Citadel, the Citadel will repair you, provided you don't have an aggression timer, which is a little bit overpowered. I just think tethering in general is just way too strong, because station games are bad enough as they are, but if you throw invulnerability and the inability to lock onto someone into the mix as well, it just gets ridiculous.
I mean, MJD Desi's helped a lot with station games, especially on kickouts, but like when it comes to stations with the docking radius of your mom, it's really difficult to do anything with them.
Yeah.
They might as well have tether rights at that point anyway.
So, Command Desi's being able to bamp things off station is definitely an improvement towards station games, because it means we can basically just be like, lol, that person's sat on a station, let's get them off it. But just tethering, you can't do it, because you MJD near them and they just go, cool, see you later.
But sure, you can bump them anyway.
Yeah,
Well,
you
you-
can be
you
bumped
can.
while tethered.
Can you be bumped?
It's just it
Yeah.
has the radius of like a planet.
Yeah, like
it's an
you have to
extremely large
be.
radius.
I think it's roughly 30 kilometers outside the lights themselves off the station.
Dub Jones, what are your guys' opinions on Citadels and how they've affected small gang content then?
To be honest, I haven't really thought about it, like. But I think they're fine, the way I see them, you know. I can jump clone, you know. Like the cloning bay I love it. I can't complain about Citadels.
I used
So
to
you-
like you.
But saying that much, like, you know, I don't really use them that much and don't fight on them.
So,
I try to stay away from them.
okay, so you think they're okay as they are, they don't need any changing or modifying?
I think
Not that I've thought of, no. I mean, like you said, I couldn't really care about the repairing outside the Citadel. I think that's a wee bit stupid. You just dock up and, you know, repair much quicker.
So you don't think that sitting outside a Citadel tethered and immune to any kind of damage is not ridiculous?
I mean, it's kind of like being in a possible.
Can I interrupt?
Yeah.
I think that the dock radius. I just undocked from an Astra House. The dock radius is about 20 to 30k too large. It's fucking insane. Like I'm still in dock, drifting all the way out, and there's ships all. It's just nuts.
It's like 30k past the lights. Once your tether goes from blue to orange, you're reaching the end. Which to bump a carrier that far is actually rather insane and rather difficult.
It's too good. It's consensus, I think.
So what changes would we, if CCP were to listen to this, what changes would we suggest to them to make Citadels still useful and still do the job that they want them to do, but not break PvP in the way they are breaking it at the moment?
Delete tether makes Gram 50k.
Yeah, I think we could all agree on that. There it is.
Yeah, I could get behind that.
I wouldn't quite delete tether though. I think
No, not
drop
tether.
tether range quite a
Drop
bit.
the
That's what he said. He
range.
said
Yeah.
delete tether completely.
Oh, I thought you said the range. Sorry.
So I think if you drop the docking ring very far in, maybe give it like a 2k out from undock, and then that might fix it. So then when you land, unless you have an instant bookmark, then you, just like a station, you land, instant bookmark, you could dock. You're invulnerable. That's fine. That mechanic has been around forever. So I think it should be roughly the same with Citadels, where you have to be right up against it tethered. I don't like the invulnerability, but I think the range is too high, where I can't bump them for shit in order to get the kill. Just like stations, if I have to play station games, I have to go for a bump when they get out of their tunnel and move. Or I have to go for a blink off or something. So that gives me more access as a PvPer. Actually get some more content, like get a lucky blink and then make you escalate because I tagged your guy because he was too slow.
Because this kind of links into the whole idea of, I don't use the term low sec is dead, but a lot of people are referring to low sec PvP as not existing anymore, and I don't think Citadels are helping that, because there is a lot of PvP in low sec, but the safety net Citadels offer makes it even harder to get content sometimes, I find.
But not necessarily, because you have, call it Tama. You have how many stations in it, just because they have a Citadel closer, they're still going to ping off if they have to. You know, if something comes through the gate, they don't like it, like a fleet, they're still going to go to a station. So just because the station's closer, I don't think that makes it... I don't know, man.
I don't think it's breaking the game mechanics so much to where you would say that low sec is dead of PvP. Jones, how many kill marks do you have on your Garmer?
160.
He has
What?
160 kill marks on a Garmer in low sec, so there you go. And that was
I mean,
one of many.
We have content coming out of our ears, and it's not necessarily the Citadel that's killing content. It's lack of content creators and people willing to come up with an idea and actually undocking and doing it.
Scouting is for casuals. The real pros crash gate with no idea what's on the other side, because they like surprises like spiders and their drinks.
Well, talking of content creation, actually this maneuvers to another little point which I just thought of. Sliv, do you want to talk us through something you've just come up with to try and generate content on an alliance level?
Oh yeah, sure. I made a challenge board. I just made a spreadsheet and put on a bunch of random stuff like any other game achievement board would be, like kill X amount of ships in whatever, mine X amount of stuff, just to, I don't know, I guess break the monotony of undock, go on this fleet, or shoot this structure, or do this. We have a couple of challenges like get 200 points on a single Z kill mail, which is kind of ridiculous. You pretty much have to kill a Blops with a Frig to do that. It just gets people thinking, gets them doing different stuff. You know, like we have one kill a industrial ship with another industrial ship. So now I have to go figure out how to make a combat one and go do that. It gives them something to do.
The thing that I found really good about that is, as soon as you mentioned it, we had people in TeamSpeak come up with additional achievements to put on it. But as soon as it went live, I think, like Nico, for example, first thing he did is, right, get adventure, I'm going to go out and get an achievement. And literally, we've had people going out trying to get these things. And I've not seen people be inspired to go out for content like this before. It's kind of a weird thing of, it's a bit of friendly competition. Some of them are being sponsored, I believe, by people in the Alliance for actual ISK. But it's
I put up some ISK on it too.
But it's just great seeing people look at this and go, this is a really fun idea. How can I get these different things and how can I achieve these objectives? Which is kind of adding a mini game to an already open sandbox game, but it's kind of a sort of guys who are outside of the Alliance, what do you think about this? Yeah, what do you feel if someone in your Alliance turned around to you and made this a thing for you and said, hey, I did an achievement board?
Oh, I would love something to look forward to if I was in an Alliance, like, if they had, like, achievements and all. That would give me motivation to do them, like.
There we go.
I just linked it in comms for you guys to kind of breeze over it real quick. I mean, it does sound kind of cheesy, but at the end of the day, I made some really difficult shit for them to do. And I also picked locations, so it's like you have to go do a specific task in a specific region or system. I also have them, like, for example, go into a wormhole and kill a ship, but you have to kill the ship on the wormhole itself. So I need a screenshot of the wreck, I need the kill, I need to make sure that take the fight on the wormhole, not somewhere in the system. So it gets them, okay, so how do I want to do this? How can I handle this task? And it just gives them different ideas for content rather than waiting for an FC, go down to the solo portion of the chart and go, oh, so this challenge is in Faction Warfare LOSA, kill 10 Amar ships in one day. Let's do it. I can pick any hull I want. Or another one, kill a Garmer and attack one Frig. Alright, shit, how do I catch a Garmer? And then it gets them thinking of how to do different stuff than they're used to. Might be a little cheesy, but we're having fun with it so far.
Well, there's nothing wrong with cheesy. Like, this is a game after all, and I think doing things that are not necessarily scripted or normal is good to try and sort of break things up, come at things from a different angle. And also, there's no harm in friendly competition between courtmates. Like, it's kind of fun to come onto TeamSpeak one day and hear people discussing how best to get a certain achievement, and they're like, oh, well, if I do this, I can try and get this one. And like, I think yesterday we were discussing how many achievements could we get at the exact same time just to try and mess with it.
I mean, right now we've got 1.5 bill worth of rewards up so far on 2 of them. We're also trying to figure out how to work out an achievement list and a point system that we can incorporate into an app that you guys can download on your phone, and you could track each other's achievements and then shit talk each other saying, hey, look, I did this. I got more achievements than you.
That would be pretty awesome. I would definitely join that.
I'm determined. I've set myself my goal of, even if someone gets the achievement before me, I want to get the save someone with a lucky jam, save someone's ship from being destroyed, and save Nico, and just see if I can combine all 3 into one. As a cheeky Falcon pilot, I need to do this.
Some of the harder ones I think we have up there. Kill a Garmer with a T1 Frig. Get more than
That's easy.
150.
Hey,
You
Jones,
just sit inside a novice Plex, you know, in an Atron or Slasher, just wait for him to warp in.
Hey Jones, want to go to a novice? Want to go to a novice?
I have a challenge to complete.
You want to test it? See if you can catch me?
Bring the 166 kill mark armor. It'll be lucky.
Yeah, nah. And it'd be another one.
Oh no!
It would be a rocket fit.
Oh no! I've just bought myself 2 rocket fit armors because I can't remember the guy's name, but I saw some PvP videos on YouTube and he was going around a rocket armor and I'm like, that looks like real fun. I've got to get myself one.
Oh, it's fantastic fun. You know, people they don't expect it. Like
it looks really good. It's because that's the one with the shield booster and the cap booster, isn't it?
Oh no, my one is passive fit.
Oh, yours is passive.
With a web scram afterburner. Yeah.
Oh no, I've got it's just a shield booster with a cap booster, and I'm like, I think this is a good idea. I hope it's a good idea.
I want to link it. Let you see it.
I mean, it's only 75 mil, so it's because I'm not very good at solo PvP. I'm notoriously bad at it, as my killboard will show. But I'm trying to pick a ship that I can practice in and get better in, so I can learn to be less bad at it.
Yeah, makes sense. Well, yeah, you're better going with that one than you have. The one I have is 309 mil.
Oh man! And naturally, I decide, yeah, Garma, that's the ship I should go for.
It is. It's easy mode.
Remember, if you have the slots for it, then tank, armor, and shield. This will take the enemy by surprise and you will win. Every time. 100% panic guarantee.
So moving us on to the next topic. This is kind of one for everyone really, and it's in terms of how far do you feel is far enough or too far to go for content?
I don't think anywhere's too far really. I mean, if you want content, just head to Black Rice. Everyone knows that.
I've been on roams where we'll hit 80, 100 jumps easy. Get a bunch of kills on the way. I've gone from Metropolis to Cobalt Edge and back, and that's like I think a 100 and something jump route, maybe 80. Fuck it, it's a game. You're on here anyway, you might as well do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'll say 5 jumps from wherever NSS spits me out. And I say that because if I ask for help more than 5 jumps away, people probably will tell me to get fucked.
Because at the moment, for us to get sort of good content, we tend to have to go to Faction Warfare Space or Black Rise, don't we?
More or less, yeah. We can go next door.
But it depends on the time zone as well, you know?
Yeah.
Like, the Bleaklands is really active during UK time zone. And Black Rise, I'm not really sure. Like, it's active mostly all the time.
I used to live in Placid, which is PvP all day, mostly through EU. I don't know, I think Mimitar is not as dead as people think it is, because we get content like crazy. We can go on a roam and come back with 10 bill and kills in like an hour. And that's just small stuff, not even battleships, just battle cruisers and shit. So, like, Mimitar's really picked up, but it was dead for a while because we had nothing but giant entities and the locals were not really willing to fight. A lot of it is just farming. A lot of the local entities have rather split, so now we kind of just fight each other, and that's kind of opened the door for more content.
Yeah, there's a lot of times where we'll be leaving out on a big fleet to go and roam, and Hakade's in 2 jumps away from us. We'll go and kill like 5 bill worth of stuff just on accident, not even planning it and not even having the intel.
Yeah, then we just go right down the pipe into Amamake area, clear all that out, see if there's anything, and then if there's nothing there, we dip into more. And if worse comes to worse, it's still dead. Again, go to Black Rise. Low sec is not dead, you scrubs.
I'd say, like, from my experience of when I used to live in low sec and the occasional roaming I do on my orc character, it's quiet but not dead.
We'll see.
Yeah, there's
quite
plenty of fucking content out there. You just gotta know where to find it, eh?
I pride myself on being a content finder. That's why I brought Jones and Dubois in here, because like a lot of times when you have enough intel out there, you find fights and you can prepare for them. You can find content, or you just get into a frig and 10 guys in the frigates can go and rape and pillage all of everything. It's so much fun.
Couldn't agree more.
Now this one is more related to real life, and this is gonna be a fun one. Meeting courtmates out of game. Has anyone had any fun experiences in meeting someone they've flown with for a while, meeting them for the first time, and them either being not what they expected or different? Anyone got any fun stories with that?
So I met this guy called Yaaar. He's pretty weird.
Sweet. It was like you laid that one up.
Yep.
I forgot about that one.
I mean, personally, no, but I am planning on Vegas this year. I heard last year, and I've also seen the Slack pictures of the craziness that our guys have got up to in Vegas last year, so I'm definitely going this year.
Yeah, this is Man Smoker. Yvette, remember I was saying, or Pasta Vet? Okay, I'm definitely going to Vegas this year, for the record. Let it be known on this podcast. I love this alliance and the people in it. I think there's some great people that we should meet individually. But there is an element of video gaming where by not seeing the other person, you can remain truly unbiased. And then as you learn more about them, you see more photos of them. I do notice a change in myself once I start meeting people, because you have an idea of the way they are based on how you interact with them and play with them and everything. But then when you meet them in person, then you develop different types of, obviously, inputs.
Never the same.
Yeah, it's never the same. It's like reading a book and then watching a movie or something.
Yeah, because then you get like catfish. You're just like, dude, your dick is not that size.
Speaking from personal experience here?
I am. Don't judge.
Oh, never.
What is catfishing? I'm not familiar.
It's when you set up a date and she's a land whale, but in
What?
her
A whale?
pictures
What's
she's
that?
actually really cute.
Oh.
Long story short, you basically pretend to be someone you're not, or you pretend to be different from how you actually are, and then either they turn up and you're like, oh my god, it was a massive surprise, or you blue ball them and then they find out that you're not who you said you were.
Oh, sorry guys. That's funny. That's really funny.
Yeah, like the side angle cheek photos only above the neck, looking up at those are guaranteed catfish.
The horrific thing is, we're all joking and
You guys
laughing
can
about
take
it.
that home with you.
We're all joking and laughing about this. So many people have met real issues with these, and it's like a lot of people having problems with this, but it's such a funny thing. Like, I can't take it seriously, and loads of people in the news are like, "Ooh, catfishing is it's a real pandemic sweeping the country with being anonymous on the internet." I'm sat there going, "Oh my god, really, really?"
I couldn't care.
Just get on a treadmill, bitch. Let's go.
I think there's some
Moving
other
on.
there's some other issues that are more political. Yeah, I think this is I'll reserve my rights to speak on this one.
Well, it's sort of it's the whole this actually links into the topic very well of the when you meet someone in a corporation or alliance who is completely different than what you expected. It's the exact same deal actually. It's just obviously you're not trying to put anything inside them. So
maybe, I don't know, Slip, but
I don't know, man. You never know. Stuff happens. This better be going in the podcast. You edited me out, I'm gonna be so mad.
What happens in Vegas stays in Sliv?
Yes.
Sliv, how did
Definitely.
the double-sided dildo end up in your butthole?
Nah, dude, it's a water bottle. Little local reference for my Panic boys.
God damn it.
Mhm.
But no, like, has anyone else had any fun experiences where they've met a courtmate and just gone, this is not what I expected?
Nah, I mean, I wouldn't mind going to Vegas, but if it didn't cost me fucking like 6 or 7 grand to do so, I'd probably go.
Could we roughly talk about the cost of the Eve experience in Vegas? Does anyone know roughly?
I think it's roughly $3,000. Hotel
Like
and all that.
How do you break the $3,000 down?
I have no idea.
You mean like $1,000 flight, $1,000 hotel, and $1,000 just to pay CCP to attend the things, or?
No, because I mean, you probably get food. You have to just think of how much would it probably cost me to eat McDonald's for a week, and then you cost in that, or if you go to restaurants. Um, I heard that some of my alliance members had a great time at some gentlemen's clubs, so you have to cost in that too.
Yep.
Your hotel, your airfare, probably a couple $100 there, and then money, and then spending money on if you want to pick up some like Eve stuff and buy shiny things. These guys rented out, I think it was 3 or 4 cars, and they were in the salt flats just doing donuts and
Yep.
going 200 miles an hour. Then they rented motorcycles, so you have to cost and all that too. I mean,
Right.
without the extras, I figure it'd probably only be like 2 or 3 grand.
So everyone that went, they all attend the CCP Eve. They don't just go and hang out around and just shoot the shit. People are going to the actual Eve events.
Oh yeah, they do the
Okay.
whole thing. When they're not doing Eve nerd related stuff, they're probably drinking or looking at women or racing motorcycles. So
I would love to go to another meeting at some point because I went to FanFest a couple of years ago and I absolutely loved it. It was great. It's just, unfortunately, it's really expensive and the timing is usually pretty bad for me. But I would absolutely love to do another one because that was probably one of the best weeks I've had away of just, it was really fun meeting the old corp mates. And it was good actually just meeting loads of other people who I've met in Eve going, oh, you're so-and-so. And talking to the CCP devs. And there's no other experience really like it, and from what I've heard, Vegas is almost the same, if not better, because it's in Vegas.
yeah, like you also have to incorporate gambling too. You're in Vegas. A lot of them did it, I think.
Oh, even better.
Right?
Panic is recruiting miners and industrialists for legitimate work in Losec. You will be safe. You are not bait. We value your presence.
I think we should talk about the Arthurus and Garmar not being fast enough.
Okay.
Get out. Just get out. Fuck those ships.
And it needs
like-
a longer point range, and we need off-grade links back on.
Please.
Beautiful.
Fuck
Yes.
that
That's
shit.
it. That's all.
I
my God.
second. I
Speaking of
promote
which-
Jones for president.
I will have to say that on-grid links are my favorite thing that has ever happened in Eve, and whoever came up with that idea is a fucking genius.
Yeah, I
They are
actually
so
agree.
good.
The MJD, amazing. Love it.
Even in a command ship, they're so good now that you don't have permanent boosts. You have to be on grid for it. You have to be within range. If you're in a small kitey gang, you have to be together. If one of them peels off, they're not getting boost. That could get them killed. They don't get their speed links. Off-grid boost death is so good. It's so good.
Yeah.
It was OP.
Because the other thing that's also really good with it, and this is more from a thematic feel, is command ships now actually are on field, and they actually feel like they're command ships. Like, forget, the term kind of gives you the impression of it's a ship where the fleet is being commanded from, it's almost in the name. And the fact that they're now in the middle of the fleet, they're giving boosts and bonuses out, it actually feels like they're doing their job, which is really nice.
Yeah, they're not just sitting on a gate, giving links. Like, I'm actually using my character now.
I do think they need to get buffed.
How so?
Some command ships, I think, are a little too weak tank-wise. I'm in a weird spot with FCing where I don't think the FC should be able to get headshotted. So I think it should be something to the effect of the command ship gets more tank based on how many people he's giving links to proportionately. Up to
so
a cap.
so it's almost the bigger fleet you're commanding, the tougher you are.
Yes. Just so they can't do one-man fleets and give themselves ridiculous links, because that's a EVE player nightmare
Yeah.
to get around. But let's say, for example, I've got a 50-man fleet, I've got a 10-man fleet, and a 200-man fleet. As I go up in fleet members getting boosts, I get a very small percentage, maybe like 0.1% or whatever, but it doesn't have a cap. So if I am commanding a massive fleet, they won't be able to headshot me, so we're going to keep fighting now because my not going to die, which I think would be fantastic. But like if I'm doing a small gang of 10 guys, I get a very, very small percentage where you can still kill my FC. So, because I think that would balance higher end tie-dye wars of 2000s and whatever, Because then you won't lose your FC, you won't have to re-anchor all that other shit. But I also don't think like an invulnerability shield or any of that stuff would be good for that. I think we would abuse it too much, just like Rorquals.
Yeah, it would be really quite nice to have an incentive for actual fleet commanders to be in a command ship, because again, it's more linking to the thematic feel. Because I know I keep mentioning that term, but when you see those fantastic trailers like the Citadel trailer and stuff of the big fleet fights happening, you can't help but sort of want that to be more of what's in the game. And again, FCs being in command ships just feels like it's getting closer towards that idea, and I really like the idea of that.
I kind of have to disagree, to be honest. Like, a big part that a big tactic that we use to break up bigger gangs than us is, killing off your anchors or just disrupting that flow of information. And if suddenly the person in control of the situation is getting so much harder to kill, that's just making the blob even harder to fight against.
Good point.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense.
Because I get where you're coming from. It's frustrating, but it's meant to be frustrating. That's why we're doing it.
Eve is frustrating altogether.
Oh.
But it's nice that these things are being changed. Like off grid boosts, we all agree were absolutely ridiculous, and the fact they've now been changed so they're more vulnerable because you can actually shoot them is a step in the right direction. And it's kind of hopefully there'll be more steps, and this isn't the only one, but it's definitely one in the right direction.
Yeah, someone who abused the hell out of them. They were obscene.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
off-grid links were way too OP. Like,
the issue I found, and this is more from a personal end, is when you go on YouTube and you look at all the solo PvP videos, you see some really cool stuff, and you see some people do absolutely mental PvP, and you're like, oh my god, how can they do that? And then you realise a lot of them have off-grid links. Yeah, and it's sort of that kind of takes the element of not impressiveness out of it, but it's kind of you're flying with your own personal off-grid linker, which not everyone has access to, and suddenly you're not doing it solo, and it's like it's weird. Like I feel the same when people do solo PP videos with a neutral logistics ult, for example. You're still not.
That's
doing
not
it
solo PvP.
Yeah,
I mean,
you're not,
when I
you're not doing it
started,
solo.
when I started,
It's
you know,
not
like
solo.
Eve, when I seen like people using links and all, when I heard about it, I didn't even complain. I just decided to get second alt and train them up. Took a couple of months, and I had links.
Exact
I
same,
had Tech
yeah.
1 links. Within 5-6 months, I had Tech 2.
As soon as I saw her, I started training into a Tengu, started training link skills, and, it took a while, but suddenly I was on par.
Yeah, it was like one of the best things I've done, like on the PvP part. It just it made you so overpowered.
I mean,
If you were soloing.
to put it in perspective, I've only just started training links myself because flying things like the Magus and the Pontifex, I actually want to do it because I can actually be on grid and doing stuff with it. It's not just sweet, I can provide links and set off grid and do nothing.
Well, I mean, if you're like me, if you do solo, I only use my link alt. Like, if I jump into a system and some guy's in a novice or a small plex, I would activate my links and then warp to the plex. Like, I'm in a kitey Garmer most of the time, so hopefully I can, burn range, pull range before he catches me. And 2 minutes, is plenty of time for me to get into that novice and get the range.
Yeah.
I mean, I have
Personally.
seen a. Go ahead, sorry.
I was just saying, personally, when I fly silly things like solo logistics and whatever other sort of slowish things, I'll always just anchor my own Bifrost on myself, and people attack me, I can just repair it.
Oh, if I'm in a hawk, and I'm brawling, I can never be kited because I've got a command desi alt. Like if I'm being kited by a couple of Garmars, I can tank it no problem. I bring my ult in, get him close to me and just jump me off. I line out, jump off and warp out.
Yeah, it's like a nice little utility.
Yep, it is. It's fantastic. I love that they changed it.
I mean, I have seen a lot of quote-unquote solo PvPers running, like, for example, a Mac with their links just orbiting them, continually giving them links. That's not solo to me.
I don't
like it. I don't like it at all. Same with anybody who undocks in a Vexor Navy and has their own personal Logi. You're not soloing.
Like if you scram my Mac, I'll be able to jump myself off or jump you off me with my command desi.
Yeah. I mean, you could even double blink with that too.
Yeah. I mean, like I don't even put an MJD on my Mac because my alt has an MJD on its Bifrost, so I replace that with a different module, like a web.
Because I've been trying to do more solo PvP because I'm really bad at it. I can't solo PvP for the life of me. Like I think I'm not even in triple digits of solo kills yet. And I've been going out in like legions and stuff like that because clearly that's the best thing to use. And now I'm like, I think I should just go out in frigates until I become less bad at this.
Yeah. What I tell most people is, get something kitey, get snakes. If you're going solo, it's one of the best things to do.
I feel like I need snakes because I've only got crystals at the moment. And I was like, yeah, I'll take crystals for all that active repping I'm going to be doing.
You just get blobbed though, It happens to me all the time. I use my crystals.
Yeah,
But
I think snakes are definitely something I need to invest in. Probably mid-grades, because I am unfortunately not made of money, and I can't get high grades.
I think you should get good without the pod and don't use the pod as a crutch.
Oh!
Mid-grade is all I used for like years, so it was.
I gotta say, flying without mid-grade snakes on Azores just feels horrific.
It's way too slow. I don't even want to undock.
No. Like, I
so
hate
used to
flying
them.
without them.
And drugs too, the Quaif Zero and the agency overclocker.
Oh.
Lol.
You just get to a point where, I don't want to say you're reliant on them, but just flying without them, you feel like a little bit
I feel naked.
disabled.
It's almost like a real analog for drugs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ho, ho,
I really...
ho.
Wow.
I know I'm shitting on it, but I would miss my Dremel if it didn't go 10k.
Yeah, my Dremel does the same. 7.2 cold, 11k with heat, and then
12k overheated with links and boost. Almost.
I
13,
wasn't even going to mention the links, but yeah.
But Slim,
Holy shit.
what about your newest interceptor? Wink, wink.
Oh yeah, that Bifrost is stupidly fast.
The 5K
And I
a
give
second
myself my own
Bifrost.
links. Yeah.
I got linked to 100 MN Orthrus, or sorry, 500 MN MWD Orthrus, does 7.7k.
Oh man.
Yeah, does 11k with heat, overheat. Yeah.
The only thing really with my Bifrost is I don't have great skirmish skills. I went
mine's
armor
5.
spec, so I'm still getting there.
Yeah, I trained mine to 5. That gave me my character something to train for.
Now see, the funny thing is, I legitimately think the 500 MN Orthrus actually goes faster than the missiles it fires.
No.
Really?
Missiles from an Orthrus go 12k a second.
They go that fast?
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
no.
you get the bonus.
Oh no. I'm just looking at the broad
Yeah, they
info.
fixed that with the Ravens a long time ago.
Oh no. That is really fast though.
I mean, my Ashima goes 10k. That's fun.
All my ships feel really slow. I thought I was going well fast when my Legion went 1.5 kilometers a second. I was like, I go so fast in this.
My
0.5.
Mac does more than that. My Mac does 2.5.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That Loki is so fast.
For Christmas, I set up one of our bros with a 4.5 overheated afterburner Logi that's cap stable.
Alright then, let's see what we have in the inbox today. Oh boy, local has been exciting lately. So much salt, so much love. Without further delay, let's get this rusty truck of weaponized autism on the road. 125 mil SP pilot looking to stay docked, station spin, and run kill FW nubs when actual PvP presents itself. Any core fit this description? Brown pants detected. It seems to be the only place to find a worthy opponent these days. Maybe you should listen to our podcast THNX. Here is your chance to fight outnumbered and fight up as your description states you attempt. You need to wait here for about an hour and wait for their Falcon pilots to log on. Panic attack. Who are these badders? Convo me, we can chat shit. Man, I wish I owned a capsule. The self-proclaimed envoy of Phil, maker of propaganda, violator of panic. Put your cuck hood back on, and your darn cuck shoes. Good thing I have an office at EC or I'd be toast. So you guys picked a new area to move into. My helmet's too big for cucks to handle. You're a cuck illiterate and helmet's too tight. Pretty rough combo. Cuckadoodle doo. That's the sound a panic flea eats. Run cuck run. Cuckadoodle doo. Cool, you'll get kill vs fac warfare, that's nice, but you can't fight anyone who can fight back. I was gonna buy so many cans of Pepsi with those $2. Is this true panic? Did you really get a gag order? That's cool, man. I'll have a civil PvT with any member of Panic.
Protoss vs Terran. I hear that matchup is literally cancer.
Zerg best race.
That's all for now, folks. Tune in next time for more salt and pepper from the world of low-sec. Oh, and before I forget, Panic is recruiting, like Dreaded, except we aren't massive sellouts.
You know, we're all here, human beings interacting on Earth, and
Oh,
do we
shut the fuck up.
treat each other somewhat fairly at some point? You know, in certain levels, just mutual
What are you trying
respect
to
for
win?
people.
Oh, the question is, can my strat solo on the corridor?
There's only one way to know. Just do it.